Hello friends, this is Odds, and yesterday the developers of DBD held a Q&A session at Reddit where they answer questions from the community. I followed it really closely and I was very disappointed. This video is not going to be a summary of everything that happened. You'll find one down below if you want to see the whole thing. Instead, I'm going to nitpick a few other posts to show you what I found so disappointing. In one word, it's just ambition. There's just no ambition where whatever gameplay is concerned. Now, about some of the things that the developers talk about, such as skins. Yeah, they tell us, oh, we're porting skins from DBD Mobile. Yes, we're creating this new system where you're going to be able to upgrade your skins from the Rift. That's kind of like what Fortnite did, where you get a costume or a skin and it gets progressively cooler, I guess. So in those regards, the game is ambitious, you know. Obviously, in the release date for new content, the game is very ambitious. But in polishing gameplay and polishing the already existing experience and in things other than events and stuff, that's where things slow down very dramatically. So this is one that I've asked the developers to do for a very long time on behalf of the DBD tournament organizer community. And it is the question of, are there plans to update custom lobbies? Give more options, more spectator lots, free cam, anything at all. And they say this has been considered by the team for tournament reasons, but they're not going to be arriving in the game anytime soon due to priority reasons. I do think that if this game was more watchable, that would be really nice. Anytime I've hold events or I've witnessed or watched events from other people, there's things like this going on, like spectator bugs, jittery cameras, problems that result in teams having to reset and tournament organizers wasting time. It makes watching DBD less fun. But I understand it's a low priority. It's a very small percentage of the player base. So, you know, fair enough. But then I asked a question myself that I thought was actually quite important for a big part of the player base, which was the following. When Stranger Things came back, the perks that were common now are no longer common and they're licensed perks. So that means that a new player, for example, doesn't have Jolt, doesn't have Better Together, doesn't have some perks that were honestly really, really nice. So I asked, are there any plans to rework or improve the current pool of common perks? The common perks are, of course, Resilience, they are Spies from the Shadows, Sloppy Butcher, all those perks. Are there any plans to improve them? Now, I didn't ask if they would make new ones, but they still answer that. They say, this is something we were discussing yesterday. Right now, we have no immediate plans to introduce new general perks. Fine, completely fine. New killers are also up against new survivors, so gen regression perks are not necessarily needed at this level when players are learning to play the game. And the base character perks reflect this. This is where my problems begin. This is such a lack of ambition. It is such a, well, we don't really need to make it better. Because, I mean, you can tell by the amount of downvotes and the very, very reasonable reply by the next user that people did not like this. If you didn't catch it, as I said, some perks are no longer common, and these perks are now gone. These are the common perks that both sides have access to. Especially on the killer side, we have at least 6 or 7 perks that are genuinely borderline useless. From this list, I only see 4 perks that are worth running, and some of them are even hard to use for beginners, or hard to use on some killers. So, like, the fact that the developers think that these perks are fine for beginners and that base perks reflect this, the only thing this reflects is that these perks are really, really horribly designed, some of them, and not suitable for beginners. Some of the best beginner perks are locked behind paywall or locked behind charts. It's true that some of the killers in the future will be easier to unlock, but I still found this question a little bit lacking in any kind of ambition. I would have loved to, instead of reading this, be like, you know what? That is a great point. We are going to redesign perks. We're going to swap some things around so that beginners have a great experience and they have every tool they need to learn the amazing world of Dead by Daylight. And we'll be sure to keep that in mind. You know, that would have been a great answer. I would have loved to see that, but no. We don't get that. Next up, do you plan for survivors to be able to inspect other survivor builds before the game starts? I find this to be an incredibly important feature, and the developers say, this is something we've also thought about, but we are currently restricted due to flexibility in the lobby screens. We're updating these old screens gradually, and you should see some improvements over the next years. Smiley face. This I share the sentiment. Years? What do you mean years? Dead by Daylight Mobile, this is a screenshot from a video recorded 2 years ago. More than 2 years ago, Dead by Daylight Mobile already had a feature to see your teammates loadouts. I understand that you cannot just put this on a DBD lobby, but it could come up on a DBD loading screen. And it could have an option thing so that you don't share your loadout if you don't want to, if people want to play with their private loadouts. Something like this should not be this difficult to implement. The fact that they are happy to say that this is coming in years is insane to me. But it does make sense if we read one of the next questions that was asked. Krasul Bear asks, are there any plans to further bridge the Survivor Friends and Solo Survivor gap by providing solo players with more information about their allies? We now had a HUD system where solo players can kind of know what their teammates are doing a little bit, and that would be great, but I do think this should be expanded. And obviously seeing your teammates' perks and other stuff like that, that would be amazing, right? So are there further plans to bridge the Survivor Friends with solo, which I think is an enormous gap right now? They say, we always monitor the difference between Survivor Friends and solo. But this is strange because they don't tell us what it is. They don't tell us if there's any major difference. Well, they say they monitor it and they don't say anything else. So we're led to assume that there's not a great difference, even though subjectively it feels like playing solo is awful. Our current stance is that lack of information is not the crux of the matter. It's not the crux of the problem. But rather that friends work together by nature and so survivors don't as much. This to me is insane. You should see the replies to this and look at the amount of downvotes. Like, this is insane. Of course, if you play with strangers, you are less likely to help them because you don't know what they have. You don't know what they want to do. You don't know what they're prepared to do. You don't know if they have any perk to get a second chance. So I do think that this question was answered poorly. I generally don't understand what they were going for here. It's almost like they're implying that solo players are just kind of lone wolves and they just don't want to help each other. When I honestly think that most people would if they knew what was going on. If you saw some of the replies, many people seem to agree with the sentiment. Now, that being said, it is true. Sometimes you play solo survivor and you find people that don't want anything to do with you. In fact, if anything goes wrong, they'll kill themselves on the hook immediately. So someone asks, with bots taking over disconnected players, this was a welcome change, but players would rather dodge the DC penalty and just kill themselves on hook. Is there any plan to combat survivors killing themselves on the first hook deliberately? Now, I understand it's really difficult to hold the hand of survivors or any player to force them to do something, but this is what the developer said. I wish I had more to say on this topic, but no, we don't have any plans for this. We hear your concern and recognize your frustration, but we just don't have any reasonable solutions here. Sad, but true. I get it. Listen, I get it. There's nothing you can do to force players not to do something they want to do. But to hear that they tell us that information is not important, so they don't give us something like this. But then they also tell us that if people kill themselves, well, you just can't help it. There's nothing we can do. We cannot have some kind of system that maybe if you try to kill yourself on hook, you do get replaced by a bot. We can find some kind of system for people to have some kind of bonus or encouragement if they don't kill themselves on hook. We don't have some kind of system to encourage good teamwork. So, like, it's just complete lack of ambition. Complete lack of ambition. And this is just making me reconsider what I'm going to do with my content moving forward, because for the last few years, I've been very personally involved in trying to send feedback from the community to the developers and making videos about issues about the game, but some of these things are going to change. Videos covering specific issues of the game that are in the game right now or in a future PTB. I'm never making videos like this again. I am never making videos like this again. I've made quite a few over the years addressing problematic perks or add-ons or maps or anything like that. I'm going to stop. This does nothing. Most of the times when I make a video like this, it has no impact on the game. The developers do what they were going to do anyway, whatever that might be. And every now and then they do something close to what I suggest in the video. And then for the next months or years, I have to hear from people in the community accusing me of getting a perk nerf or getting a killer nerfed or doing something when I personally know that I have no such impact. The people that, like, this video were mostly for the people that keep up with the game not so much and want to know what is strong and what is coming. And for those people, I'm sorry, but this kind of videos, I'm just not making them. I will also probably refrain from making more videos with proactive suggestions. Videos such as, oh, fix this, oh, fix that, oh, change this, oh, this killer needs that. Maybe I'll make one more of this and then I'll never do it again. Because this ultimately this would be for the community. I don't think the developers really have this drive, this ambition to actually change in a reasonable time the things that are already in the game. Covering new content, covering new killers that come every 3 months. Yeah, we'll always do that. We'll always be there for that. That's always fun. Silly compilations of me screaming at people and funny things happening. Those obviously I'll still make. Tier lists and resources and guides and things for beginners. This is currently, I think, my favorite kind of content to make. This is the thing that I feel the best about doing, and I will continue to do this. In fact, look out for a bunch of updated tier lists coming soon. And challenges such as the 50 win series or other things like that, I think I'm also going to drop, at least temporarily, at least for the most part. It's just, this game is not in a good spot for this. As you guys know, they changed the MMR recently, which means that you're going to go against more and more difficult opponents if you keep winning your games. And that would be fine, but every now and then I have just horrible experiences. Just the other day, I was playing this match, and suddenly I found myself chasing this Jeff, and I thought he was a god. Like, he was running me on tiles where none of my mind games were working, and I thought, okay, this is just the one survivor in the team. That's insane. He then heals someone else really, really fast, but, you know, he had some healing perks, so maybe it was possible. I don't know. I didn't really raise an eyebrow there. And then at the end of the game, I have him pinned against the edge of the map, and I see his blood, and he's there, and I hear the exit gate make noise, and I go there, and his blood just disappears into the ground. He's just gone. Look at the face I look at the face I make when I realize that he just disappeared. He then teleported behind me and left with everybody else. And obviously, it's you know, it turned out it was a cheater. Now, this Jeff was really stupid, and he made it look really obvious. But survivors don't have to be stupid, and killers, I guess, don't have to be stupid or make it obvious. You will go against lobbies more and more and more that are difficult, that send you to maps, that bring strong add-ons, strong killers, strong whatever. And you're never gonna know if you literally got outplayed or if it was someone that is actually good at hiding their cheats. I've also heard reports from people saying that they've been sniped more and more, and that cheaters have now a better stream sniping software. Which would seem to be the case because the last few days I've been having more cheaters than usual, and I don't think that there's suddenly more cheaters. I just think they're now better at finding particular streamers. Either that or just a very unlucky streak. But yeah, whatever the case, I'm gonna shy away from doing that kind of content and prevent myself from just being mad and frustrated. I will be playing other games, branching out to other stuff on top of doing my usual DVD videos. I'll be playing more and more other stuff. I recognize that when I play other games and I branch out to other things, I'm not as immediately knowledgeable, and I'm often not as entertaining or as good at the game. But I'll work on that. I'll try to make content that is compelling to watch for people that are familiar with the game or not. And that's what that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm going to plan for the next few, God knows how long. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointed.